Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Maher Nasser. I'm the Commissioner General of the United Nations at Expo 2020 in Dubai. And I would like to welcome you all to the United Nations Hub. With me today is Fatma Al Jassim, and I'm very excited to welcome her to the Hub and have a conversation. Fatma, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here, and thank you for giving me the chance to use your wonderful platform to send my message.
You arrived at Expo today. I don't know if you had a chance to see what is around, and I hope that you will, because I have been here for 22 days and I have seen more than 140 pavilions. It amazes me how diverse, yet how alike we are as humans. And as humans, of course, some of us, as is your case, are people, they call you in the UAE people of determination, because you would not allow physical limitations and disabilities stop you from wanting to contribute to society. Can you tell us a little bit about how you became an advocate for people of determination in the UAE?
So thinking back, I think my journey started when I was 11 years old. I started with myself, to be honest. I realized that in order to change things, I need to get my perspective out there. So what I did is that I started talking to teachers back then in school about what I wanted and what I needed. And I realized that I need to create some sort of a workshop to help them understand my perspective. Mm-hmm. And from there, my journey of advocacy began. Today, I am a voluntary consultant and a policymaker, with working with companies and countries from all over the world to empower people with determination.
Mm-hmm. So 2011, you started your journey, and 2006 was the first convention, United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disability, and it fast-tracked. It was one of the fastest conventions to actually come into force. Have you followed up on that convention and how it was reflected in legislation, in facilitation in your country and globally?
So I was honored to be chosen and to have a seat at the table as the youngest advisory board on the UAE, on the National Board of Empowering People of Determination. I'm in a country that believes in its people, and it believes in youth and people of determination. So I had the opportunity to work and adapt the policies in the UAE to hopefully continue the convention's journey. Mm-hmm. And I've always built my workshops, my programs, and my consultations around the convention, because it's an important, it's what unites us all, and it's advocates for equity for everyone across the board.
So I touched on this because this is an aspect of the work of the United Nations that people do not recognize. People hear the United Nations and they think of the Security Council, of the tall glass tower in New York, of peacekeepers, but they don't realize also that the United Nations is a place where governments come together and they agree on what later becomes conventions, what later impacts everybody's life. And one of those agreements was landmark agreement in 2015 that gave us birth to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which range from ending poverty, eliminating hunger, ensuring gender equality, facilitating access to education, health, to tackling climate change, protecting the environment, overland, underwater, and global partnerships. There are 17 of them. And I know from my experience, talking to different people, there's always a soft spot for some of them more than others.
Yeah.
Which are your favorite, or at least the SDGs that you think are more relevant for your cause, for your determination?
So thinking of, like I use the SDGs as a framework that unites us all. And thinking of my journey, I think goal number 10, reducing inequalities, and goal number 5, gender equality, and goal number 11 was sustainable communities. They're at the heart of what I do.
You have chosen exactly the ones that are really relevant for you. And I think that's important that people recognize which one, because we cannot be active in every field of the SDGs. So we have to select, and I think gender equality is definitely something that is a priority for the United Nations, for the Secretary General, for the Deputy Secretary General who's coming here on Sunday to mark UN Day, because we cannot really grow without providing full access, equal opportunities for girls and women who are half of society. And reducing inequalities has become key at this time because we are living in the period of probably history where we have the most inequality in the world today. And COVID-19 has exacerbated that. The people who were rich became richer. And for the first time since 1990, we have had people pushed back into poverty.
I agree, because it is a pandemic that affected everyone's mental health, stability, and their access to some basic needs like food and security. So I think what we need, if I may, what we need is to have a conversation as humans, for humanity, to build back better, to build a better future, not only for us, but for future generations. And that's what motivates me to continue working in the field.
What is the future that you want to see in 2030 and maybe even beyond?
I want to see people of determination being able to not only voice themselves, but having leadership positions across the board. As we know now, currently, the number of people with determination or people with disabilities in leadership positions in any sector is very, very low, extremely low. And I think having that unique position creates impact in any sector, and it's the one thing that will create change that really stands out and motivates for better inclusion. I think there's no ideal situation, and we would never reach a solution that works for everyone, except if we are united and we understand each other's perspective. And that's the most important.
And that's a beautiful message, because that's about dignity, human dignity and equality. And we all have a duty and responsibility, not only because it says so in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights or the Charter of the United Nations, but because we owe it to each other. We come together, we rise, we fight, we divide, we fall. And I think as we look at we didn't touch on this, but I know you have enough challenges as it is, but as a young person growing in a world today when we talk about the climate emergency, the climate crisis, what are your thoughts on that aspect of industries, governments? Do you see, from your perspective, that they are on track in terms of dealing with this crisis?
I think that they are trying. They're trying to be on track or get there, but we still have a very long way to go. I think it's because we're not like, as countries, we are not all on the same page yet in this matter, and that makes it difficult because climate change affects literally everyone everywhere. So it doesn't matter if a country is doing its best, and if another country, its neighbor, is not doing enough, then they're both going to be affected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I heard that this morning you had a chance to go through the Mission Possible.
Yes.
And which journey did you take?
I took the food sustainability journey.
Food sustainability. And what are your thoughts? How did that come to you?
I love the pavilion, to be honest, because it reminds me of how small things have a bigger impact than we can ever expect. The pavilion, my journey with Fatma, the person who was featured in the story.
Same name as you.
What a coincidence! I didn't realize that. Her journey is unique because she started with herself, with what she believed in, and in her house. So that applies to everyone, I think, and it really empowers you, and it resonates with you, and it's something that I will personally recall whenever I'm discouraged.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And exactly the point of the whole exhibit, as the Secretary General says in his video at the beginning, is that individual actions matter. This is why at the UN we launched a campaign called Act Now. It's a website that people can visit, and it can give them ideas of what they can do individually to change something, reducing their carbon footprint, reducing the use of single-use plastic, but also being kind and supportive of others. And one that I think is most relevant to everybody, and nobody can say, I cannot do it, which is speak up. That everybody has a responsibility to advocate and to speak up for the issues and causes that we think need to be done. Individual actions, at the end of the day, are really important, but they need to be as well reflected in regulation, in government decisions to support that. So you have seen that and you caught it, exactly, you got the message.
That's wonderful. I think we are all advocates. Whether we like it or not, we're all advocates. We all believe in something, and that pulls us towards a goal. I think the message I would say is that we only need to know how to advocate, because it's not effective to just speak up without using the right words, without having the right background information, and also it's not effective if you choose to speak at the wrong time. So those are all factors that contribute to any advocacy, I think.
You told me earlier that your favorite subject was strategic communications. And what you have just said is at the heart of how we can best communicate. Communication isn't just about conveying what you want to say, but it's also leading to a change, to an action that will eventually benefit. Well, Fatma, thank you for being with us. You're an amazing person. You have a great future, and keep believing in yourself because we believe in you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to have met you today, and I look forward to contribute further into the UN's SDGs and its goals.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being with us.